Hello and good morning to everyone on this very beautiful March day in Northern California. That's where my garden is. To be exact, today is the 27th of March, and it's such a beautiful time in the garden now. I figured today would be a good time to do a garden tour. So we're first starting here at the lilac. It has these purple flowers with kind of a white outline. I got this at a nursery not too far from here many years ago. It started off pretty small, about that big, and it's grown quite tall, taller than the fence ever since. And we've had some very, very, very warm days. Here in March, it's gotten up to 90 degrees, so a lot of the garden, I would say, is about 2 weeks early. Moving along here, we have a peony plant I planted. I believe this was planted 1 to 2 years ago, and then some alliums. I'm planting alliums for the very first time this year. Then we have a couple of more alliums. Here I am extremely excited about this because this is a peony that I purchased as a bare root from Costco 5 years ago now, and this is going to be the very first time that it's blooming. So I'm finally going to be able to see what variety it is, what color it is. I'm hoping for like pinks and whites and dark pinks. I planted this one at the exact same time, but as you can see, this one's not quite blooming yet, so maybe that one will bloom in year 6. This one here too was also planted 5 years ago at the exact same time as those. We're also going to find out what color it is, so I'm very excited for that. So if you're planting bare root peonies from Costco, just know that it'll take them about 3 to 5 years to bloom. This here is one of my favorite parts of the garden. We have the African daisy that's kind of going over here. We have like an apricot colored rose, the purple trumpet vine. Unfortunately, my orange tangerine cross vine, it looks like it's died. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it wasn't getting enough water, it doesn't have enough nutrients. So I'm gonna have to go in and kind of cut that out and try and get the other vines to grow this way. The African daisy has definitely passed its peak, but I'll lay over some footage where it looks really good. All right, now we're at the pansies. I planted these from seed for the very first time this past year. These are from Johnny Seeds. I forget exactly what the name is, but I'll put it on the screen. It has like these pretty lines through the flowers. I also planted alliums in here. This has passed its prime, but earlier it looked very beautiful. It had hyacinths, ranunculus, daffodils. I'll try to get some footage of it. I planted some calendula for the very first time this year, along with some daffodils. And there's a couple of freesias in here. Freesias are the absolute best smelling flower. I always say that, but it's so true. Next we also have, these are another variety of pansies. I forget what these are called. I think they're called like Alzheimer King Makes. I'll put it on the screen. Also planted with alliums for the very first time. These freesias have definitely passed their prime too, but I'll overlay some footage of when they looked really good. So moving along here, the red rose is absolutely beautiful this time of year. Always the first to bloom in my garden, and it smells so good. Okay, so here, if you remember from last year, or if you watched my peony video, this is the Carl Rosenfeld peony. It's already bloomed many times over the past few years, but this one here was also a peony I planted 5 years ago from Costco. It looks like it's going to be a pink variety. I was thinking Sarah Bernhardt, but I know that Sarah Bernhardt tends to bloom later in the season. This one was one of the first ones to put on buds, so I don't think it's Sarah Bernhardt. We'll find out together what it is. And also here we have the, under the rose, I might have to prune back the rose a bit, the Myrtle Gentry peony. Oh, and this is very exciting. This is an amaryllis that I've planted out here. I believe that this is going to be its like second or third year out here now in the garden. And as you can see, it's starting to open up. It's a red amaryllis with white streaks. And I think it looks really good with the red rose. I have a few more amaryllis plants planted down here. This one here is also gonna bud up and bloom, but the one behind it has actually not bloomed since the very first year that I've planted it. I'm thinking that it just doesn't get enough sun because it's a little further back. So what I'll probably do one of these years is dig it up and kind of bring it towards the front. So if you are hoping to plant amaryllis outdoors, definitely make sure they're in a more sunny area, because if it's back there, it's just not going to bloom. Too much shade from the roses. Alright, so here we have a Sarah Bernhardt peony. This here was supposed to be like a white variety of allium, but it ended up being a red variety if you watch one of my past videos. That's okay, I decided to leave it. On one of my past videos, somebody had asked me what variety this rose is. I don't know the exact name. I purchased it from Lowe's probably back in like 2017, 2018, 19, around that time. And I don't know, maybe it's a peace rose. If anybody knows the name of this type of rose, it's kind of like a dark pink variety, and it's got like a little bit of white in the center. It looks like this very beautiful bright pink color, and then it kind of will start to fade a bit. I love this time of year for the mandarin tree that was planted here a few years ago. It's starting to bloom up. It gives off a really nice scent, and it was so beautiful to see mandarins on it this past Christmas when there was pretty much nothing else blooming. You could still see there are some mandarins. Oh, and how can I forget my clematis plant? I planted this here so many years ago. I got it as like this teeny tiny little plant from the Home Depot. I think I planted two here, but only one has survived. This is a light pink color variety, and I absolutely love it. I'll have to show you guys in the April garden tour when it starts to bloom. Now, this here is a variety of daffodil. I believe it's called Rose Cloud. They were so beautiful when they were blooming. I didn't catch too many pictures or video, but I'll go ahead and put some on the screen now. And then this here is Foxglove. I absolutely love Foxglove. It does so well in our climate. I pretty much don't do anything. I kind of like put it in the ground here and have forgotten about it. Well, I have watered it a few times when it was young, but it's nice because it's a perennial here in my zone 9 climate. I really didn't have to do anything to get them to bloom this year. The snails do sometimes come through and eat some of my plants back here. I also have some iris growing here. I know that everything is very crowded in here, so I'll probably eventually have to thin things out. And then this here is my jacaranda plant. It's not doing too great. We did have some frost this past winter and it kind of killed it a bit, but I'm hoping it comes back. I've started to water it since. There's the lilac, looking very pretty in the sunshine. Beautiful. All right, so this here is the ballerina zinnia, and my very first time planting it from Johnny Seeds. In here also I planted some Lisianthus for the very first time ever. Lisianthus is supposed to be extremely difficult to grow from seed, but I have a couple in here, so hopefully we'll get a few Lisianthus flowers. And I am planning to pinch this zinnia probably when this opens up, but basically you want to pinch zinnias to get more branching out of them and more flowers. It is kind of painful in the moment, but pinching is a must, and I've learned that the hard way multiple times. Here we have a beautiful hydrangea plant that was purchased from Home Depot many years ago. come back in April or May to see those. All right, and then I'm working on a propagating hydrangeas video. These are my propagations that I planted in the fall of last year. As you can see, I have a couple here that made it and then 3 back there that did not make it. If I had to guess, maybe these just dried out, maybe they didn't get enough water, whereas these had bigger containers and they had more water. So just looking at this, if you're going to propagate hydrangeas, put them in a little bit of a bigger container. They'll have a better chance. And here I have more propagations. This was started 2 years ago, and these were also started last fall. So I'm propagating my grandma's hydrangea to give to my brother, my sister, and my uncle. This here is an Ito peony that I bought as a bare root when I found out that I bought a couple of Ito peonies a couple of years ago. I thought one was going to be pink and one was going to be yellow, but they both turned out to be yellow. I forget the exact variety, but this here is going to be the pink variety, so it's probably going to take about 3 to 4 to 5 years more before we get flowers on it, but that's okay. All right, here it's kind of a mess, so please forgive the mess. What should I show you? Let's show you more hydrangeas that I propagated. Okay, yeah, so this is a hydrangea that's looking so good. This was probably one of my very first propagations. And this hydrangea, I want to say I propagated it about 3 years ago now. When I started it, it was just like this big. So yeah, this is what it looks like now in year 3. I'll probably end up giving this one to one of my siblings either this year or next year, so they could have a part of my grandma in their garden. Okay, I did propagate this one too, but this one is not my grandma's hydrangea. I believe this propagation is off of this plant. So let me know if you guys are interested in seeing a video about me propagating hydrangeas. Okay, these are like $16 camellia plants that I purchased from Lowe's a couple of years ago. I was very excited to see this white swan camellia finally bloom. Okay, let's see what else is interesting back here. Okay, we have so I forget what this is called, the green stock garden. The green stock garden usually stands here, goes up, but I have planted some baby lisianthus in it, so I wanted it to kind of stay back a little bit more in the shade. There's the baby lisianthus. I didn't want to expose them to the sun right away. I want their roots to develop slightly and then I'll put them into the sun. Let me know if you guys have ever planted lisianthus, and I don't know, is it supposed to look like this? So this I planted all the way back in November, so it's been about 5 months. It was indoors all winter, and then I finally planted it out back here. This is my delphinium coming back for the 2nd year. I planted these seeds in the fall of 2024. I absolutely love delphinium. My climate is not great for it though, so it's not too happy here. So even if I have just like a couple of flowers, like I'm happy with it. All right, here. This area here looks best usually in May because I have a ton of lilies that open up and bloom. These here are a pansy. You guys know that I love pansies, and it's like a black variety of pansy. Like when I saw the black color pansy, I thought it was so interesting and I knew that I had to try it. I also have, I think this is called like Arabia Queen. It's like a dark red dahlia plant. Here is my Ito peony. Looks like it has a couple of blooms this year. It's going to be a light yellow color along with more lilies, and then we have these beautiful pansies here. Love the pansies. I have some cilantro that grows here. Cilantro is like a cold loving plant, so if you want to grow cilantro, you should grow it in the fall and winter, not necessarily in the spring and summer. And then I have I think these are just honestly self-seeded pansies. I don't remember seeding these here. All right, and then if you watched my peony video, you know that I believe it was last year at Costco, I bought a ton of peonies. I planted a ton. These probably won't flower for us for another 3 to 4 years, but as you could see, I did lose a few. 1, 2, 3, 4 didn't come back. But that's okay, and that's expected. I didn't do the greatest job in the end of summer watering all of them, so maybe they just dried up. All right, so this here is, it's not looking so great, but these are poppies that I planted, and I'll show you later in my cut flower garden. I have a ton of poppies that are doing very well. These are poppies that were planted from seed by me probably back in like November. We don't have the greatest climate for poppies. Poppies prefer cooler weather, and these are supposed to be like a peony variety of poppy. I don't think they like it here. I think it's just too hot for them. Maybe I should actually move them into the shade. And same for here. These are the exact same type of poppy. They're not doing great. So I would say this is a gardening failure, but that's okay. Because next to us we have a gardening success, and that is my nectarine tree that I purchased from our local nursery, Green Acres. I believe it was last year. This is Nectazia nectarine, and I purchased this one because it's supposed to be like very sweet, very tangy, and I'm really excited because I do see a few nectarines. I have 1, 2. All right, and I think that's it for this part of the garden. Let's go to the next part of the garden. So here in this part of the garden, I have my 2 bougainvillea. Is it bougainvillea or bougainvillea? I always say bougainvillea. My 2 bougainvillea plants along with my lavender. The bougainvillea is finally starting to put on some color. So very excited to see that. I didn't actually get a chance to prune it back this past fall. Usually I'll try to prune it back a bit so it's not like in the aisle or anything. But we'll just let it bloom this year, and then I'll probably prune it back a bit later. And then we have a ton of succulents here. All right, so now we are at this area of the garden. It's so hot here. I used to have like a ton of beautiful flowers in these containers, but it's just way too hot in my climate. They could never survive the extreme heat. So I finally just planted some succulents in them, and honestly, I'm pretty happy with the succulents. If you watched my Scilla peruviana video, I did a video of how to plant these Portuguese squill. It looks like they're on their way out now. They don't look too great. We have the red hibiscus plant that's coming back to life after some frost. This here I'm very excited about. It's called the Blue Girl Rose. It has such a nice scent, and it has like a pinkish purple tone that I think is pretty rare to find in roses. So whenever it blooms, I always get very excited. Then I have geranium, more geranium, and this beautiful rose, which when it blooms, it's so pretty. I believe it's called the Eden Climber Rose. And then we have more pansies. I forget the exact variety, but I believe these are like also from Johnny's seeds. And then some allium plants. Maybe I should water my alliums more because they're already kind of starting to turn yellow. All right, so next I'm going to show you a part of the garden that is probably one of the most beautiful at this time of the year, and that is my iris plants. So a few years ago, I purchased a ton of iris plants. They were basically just like on sale at Costco. I think they were like $4, $5, $6, $7 around that realm. I really didn't think that like I had anywhere to plant them, but I really wanted to buy them at that time. So we had this little teeny tiny plot right next to like the air conditioner, and I planted them here, and honestly I could not be happier with the results. These are iris in their, I want to say these are on their 3rd year, so I must have planted them back in the fall of either 2002 or 2004. I'm sorry, I meant 2023 or 2024. I have 3 different varieties planted here, but as you can see, there's only one variety blooming right now. I forget the exact name of this. I think it might be called like Speeding Again. I'll put the name up on the screen if I'm able to find it, but there's also like a dark purple variety in here, and then one more variety, I forget what it is. So next we're going to an area of the garden where I have some hellebores and some camellia plants. This here is an extremely beautiful hellebore that goes from being like white in color to green when it's done. Then I have a camellia plant planted here. I just planted this last year. I wasn't expecting any blooms this year. But something really exciting that did happen this past year is this camellia that my sister and I planted here probably about, I don't know, 10 years ago. It finally bloomed. I'll overlay some footage of when it looked really good. This here is another hellebore. This is a white variety that turns green when it's pretty much done blooming. And then on one of my other hellebores, I have kind of like an aphid problem. If anybody's ever had an aphid problem on their hellebores, please let me know what I should do, because I feel like they're kind of taking over this entire hellebore and I'm not too happy about that. But what I am happy about is this camellia plant that seems to be happy. It's putting on new green leaves. Alright, so now we are in the cut flower garden area of my garden, where I started all of these flowers from seed. It's a very beautiful time of year right now because the foxgloves are blooming. We have some snapdragons that are blooming. But something that I'm very excited about are my poppies. This is the very first time I've ever planted poppies from seed. I'll put on the screen the variety that they are. I purchased these seeds from a local nursery and I'm extremely excited. I think that I do need to water them a bit because some of the leaves do seem to be turning yellow. As I've mentioned before, it's getting quite hot and poppies do really prefer cooler weather. Another thing that I have planted here are like a pink variety of bachelor's buttons. My very first time ever planting a pink variety. I have grown the blue one in the past. I snuck in here a couple of weeks ago and planted some straw flower. I absolutely love straw flower. If you don't know what straw flower is, it's this right here. These here were seeded actually not this past fall, but the fall before that. So they've come back along with the scabiosa. This is called the dark night scabiosa. It's like supposed to be a very dark, it looks like it's actually burgundy. I guess it's not technically purple, it's burgundy. And then this here is a variety of snapdragon from Johnny's seed. I forget the exact name of it, I'll put it on the screen, but it's very beautiful because it goes from like this yellow color into orange, and it starts off as like a bright yellow and then it fades into more of like this gentle soft yellow. So I love to see that, very pretty. We'll move along here. As you can see, I am doing some winter sowing method, and these zinnias, I actually started using the winter sowing method. I have another container I'll show you in a bit. But here in this next aisle we have yarrow that's probably going to start blooming in about a month. Now this here is my very first time ever planting amaranth. This here is the green tassels amaranth, whereas this one here is called Love Lies Bleeding. It's like this very dark burgundy color. Now I'm very excited about these. I did start these using the winter sowing method in my milk carton containers. I am actually quite pleased because a few days ago when I planted them, they were kind of like falling over, but now it looks like they're already much stronger, healthier plants, so I hope they like this area. And what I try to do is, because amaranth, I've read online that it tends to be like too bulky to use in floral arrangements, so what I actually try to do is kind of like plant them really close together so they don't have as much room, and they'll end up being smaller flowers, hopefully. Here is more straw flower that I absolutely love. This variety is so pretty. And you guys, can you believe that I purchased this packet of seeds for just 25 cents at the Dollar Tree? I think that you should run to your local Dollar Tree and buy straw flower seeds ASAP. Alright, so this here is some feverfew that's not quite budding out yet, but this I planted about 3 or 4 years ago now. It's looking really pretty and healthy and green. That is some self-sown Sweet William. I have some more Sweet William here. And then I have a little patch of land that's mostly going to be in shade, so I don't know exactly what I should plant, but I'm thinking I'll probably plant Foxgloves. They do so well in shade. So these Foxgloves get like the north shade from this fence, and they do so well here. They've come back for a second year. I planted these in the fall of 2024. So they've come back. They're doing very beautifully. I think all of the insects love them so much. I see bees on them. I see little spiders on them. Let's see if we could find anything on them now. Doesn't look like it, but these here are also all from Johnny Seeds. This here is a variety called Camelo Lavender. Then we have like Dalmatian Peach, I believe this one is called. Some more Camelo Lavender. Okay, so this here is really interesting because although we have had frosts in my climate, the marigold has managed to survive. So I'm thinking there must be some sort of like microclimate here where the frost didn't get to this area, because it's probably on the south side of the house. It's probably surrounded by other plants that kind of keep it warm. So yeah, this is actually from last fall and it didn't die. Then we have some self-sown Ami plants. One cute little straw flower, and then we have a ton of self-sown larkspur. Now if you look really close, you'll see that the larkspur, I think it has kind of like some powdery mildew on it. So in hindsight, what I probably should have done is like thin it out a bit more this past fall winter. I think it would have been healthier and happier and stronger had I thinned it out. But let me know if you guys have ever had any self-sown larkspur. How did it look? Mine's not looking too great. But what is looking great is the scabiosa. Oh, I just noticed somebody's been nibbling on this a little bit. Maybe I'll have to come through and add some snail repellent. These here are fall planted scabiosa. These are going to be I believe they're called Oxford Blue variety. And these here are like the peach colored one. I need to water them. They're looking quite dry. Okay, and in this next row here, there's a ton of things that I've planted for the very first time. So it's kind of like my trial run. This is Status that I planted last fall. So I have some of my very first ever Status growing. I planted some Bells of Ireland here. They didn't all survive, but it looks like I have about 1, 2, 3, 4 plants that did survive. I love Bells of Ireland for the greenery. Then I also planted just more Foxglove, self-sown larkspur, and for the very first time ever I did plant carnations. I don't expect them to bloom this year though. I I think they're just putting on their green growth. Here are some zinnias, some calendulas that I planted for the very first time. I purchased these because I love that it had kind of like a soft pink bronzy color. I will put the name of it on the screen. Hello, beautiful foxglove. Oh, and these here I planted because my sister once went to a farmer's market and she absolutely loved these. So, I mean, I didn't do the greatest job at supporting them. They do need a lot of support. It looks like they all kind of fall over. But I did fall sow these as well. And then just the very last bit of the garden that I want to show you are going to be these are supposed to be like, it's supposed to be called winter sowing method, but you'll notice that I have a ton of warm season plants planted here. These are my zinnias. As you can see, they look so healthy, so amazing. I do need to plant these out ASAP. Next we have a few echinacea. These are supposed to be a green variety of echinacea. In here I have more zinnias. This is the Aurora zinnia and the Benary's white giant zinnia. I even did two varieties in here and I separated them using a colored pencil. This here is the double click pink cosmos from Johnny Seeds. This here was supposed to be coleus. Oh, it looks like we might have one or two growing. Next we have my very first time ever planting verbena. The verbena looks like it needs to be planted out. Alright, and for the newest area of the garden, we'll just do a really quick run through. If you're wondering why I have these on the ground, it's so that the cats don't come through here and dig. We have Sahara rudbeckia. We have, these are all winter sown, I should say. If you watched my winter sowing method video, these are all from those containers, and this is how they look a couple of months after I planted them. Sahara rudbeckia, Belzo Ireland, carnations, and then I have my prairie sun rudbeckia, my poppies. Oh, and oh my gosh, I need to put down snail repellent ASAP. I have planted two different varieties of dahlias here. This is my very first time ever planting dahlias in the ground. So hopefully we'll get a few. And then in here I have my delphinium, and I also need to put down snail repellent ASAP. Something I forgot to show you that I really want to show you is it this one? These are cosmos, but that's not what I wanted to show you. What I want to show you is this. This here is a variety of amaranth that I got from one of the local flower farms in our area called Park Winters. The owner, he kind of gave us like a tour of the farm, and he gave us some seeds of amaranth. He said just go ahead and sprinkle them on the soil and pretty much forget about them. They're like a deep burgundy variety that grows quite tall, so I'm very excited about these. I planted these about 3 weeks ago now. They're looking very beautiful and healthy. And then these here are some more green tassel amaranth. I think these are cosmos that were just planted about a week ago. And some more green tassels amaranth. So yeah, I would highly recommend to winter sow warm season crops. They don't only have to be cool season crops. With warm season crops, the only thing you'll probably have to do is come out and water them a bit more often than you otherwise would. I have mine kind of in like a part shade situation where those containers don't get any sun probably until about, I don't know, maybe like noon or 1 o'clock in the day, because they get a ton of shade from this tree. So yeah, I highly recommend that you winter sow some warm season plants before it gets too hot. Alright, so that was it for the March garden tour. I'm very excited to show you my garden. I think it looks really good. There's some areas that definitely need work, but I think that's true for all of our gardens. I hope you guys are enjoying the beautiful spring out in your gardens, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day and weekend.